Hello, everybody out there in Rumble, X, and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego. And today we're going to talk some more about Babygirl from last year. Nicole Kidman, Antonio Banderas, and some other guy who gives a crap what his name is. It doesn't really matter. This movie doesn't really matter. Okay, it's not that important. Harris Dickinson. Harry-ass Dickinson. Yeah, that guy. He plays the stud in this movie, okay? The one supposed to get all the women wet out there, okay? Because he's young and because he tells women what to do, okay? Yeah. Try that crap in real life and see what happens. Yeah, go to work at Walmart or something and try acting that way towards your boss and see what happens, okay? This movie is such a load of crap. This is why I got to tell guys out there, okay? I give you a straight man's point of view here. Okay, and the reason I decided to take apart chick flicks, okay, and there are some good ones there. I've reviewed plenty of good chick flicks on here, okay? They're not all bad, okay? But this is one of the bad ones, all right? Because the rules for these chick flicks don't apply in real life, okay? Any guy trying to figure out how to seduce a woman or how to get her off, okay, or how to successfully pick up lots and lots of women and have a very, very active sex life with women, you're not going to learn it from watching these freaking movies, okay? There's way too many presumptions here for the man, okay? The presumption that the guy's got to be rich, he's got to be good looking, he's got to be successful, he's got to be well respected, he's got to have an alpha personality, he's got to have all these presumptions, okay, are turned upside down on these rom-coms, okay, in these chick flicks, because this is not a rom-com, it is a chick flick though, because it expects you, it asks for way too much to begin with. Okay, you got to believe that the main character, Romy Mathis, is a boss bitch. She's a billionaire. She owns her own, she's CEO of her own tech company, a robotics company that she started herself. She graduated top of her class at Yale. Okay, she has lots of investors. That means that her business is public. Okay, so she's extremely wealthy. Okay, she's running a corporation, basically. Okay, she has a family. She's been married for like 30 years, or over 30 years, to Antonio Banderas' character. He's a famous Broadway stage director. He directs Broadway plays, okay? So he's known in the liberal social circles, okay? She has two daughters, okay? One's like 17, and the other one's 12, and they're both lesbians, okay? So they're proud of their children for that. Okay, so she's basically got everything that a libtard would love. Okay, she owns her own business. She runs her own business. Okay, she's well respected. She's the boss bitch. She's super smart. She's super beautiful. She's super talented. She's super everything. Okay, but the truth is, and I don't think the filmmakers realize this, is that she's actually none of these things. Okay, I'm going to judge Nicole Kidman's character based on her actions, not on her words. Not with what you're supposed to believe. You were supposed to tell me. You're supposed to force feed me this crap. Okay, so you're telling me she's a CEO. She's very smart. She has everything. She's got a loving husband. She's got loving kids. All that kind of stuff. She got the house out in the country. Then she has her penthouse in the city. You know, she gets invited to all these parties and stuff. She's extremely well respected in her company. You know, as the founder of her company, her extremely successful company. You're supposed to expect me to believe all this stuff right away. But then once we start getting to know this character, once we start seeing what she does, she's actually very stupid, okay? She's very selfish. She's very narcissistic, okay? She's very insecure, okay? She's a piece of shit wife. She's a piece of shit mom. She's a piece of shit CEO, okay? She's not good at any of these things, okay? All these things that you're supposed to just like give us. You just give us all this information about her to set her up for what's about to happen to her. But based on her actions, she is none of these things. She's none of it. Now, was that intentional? I don't think so. I don't think you would make a movie if you look at the people that made this movie, the director of this movie, her name is, I don't think I'm saying it right. She's Dutch, Helena Rain, okay? And she's a lesbian. Like, she's a man-hating lesbian Eurotrash. She's Dutch. Okay, this is like the third movie she's ever fucking made. So she has no real experience. She's a failed actress. She tried to make as an actress. Okay, and it didn't work because she was too fucking ugly. So clearly she has some issues with men here. So obviously this is her revenge on men. Okay, all the men out there that are powerful, okay, the ones that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s, okay, you know, that are married and have these kids and have all this money and lifestyle that these women want for themselves. No, you got to break that guy down. Okay, no, we can't have him like that. No, we got to. It turns out that he can't even satisfy his wife, so his wife is fucking around him. Oh, So basically, all those directors out there, all those producers out there that she tried to get work from, that rejected her because she wasn't pretty enough to be an actress. She wasn't talented enough to be given a big budget movie. Okay, none of those things, because she wasn't any of the things that Hollywood wants in a woman. Okay, this is her revenge. Okay, well, I'm going to make a movie that emasculates the men that rejected me. And that's what this movie is. But she's too stupid to realize that instead of Nicole Kidman coming off as this avatar of sexual empowerment for women in their 40s/50s, okay, like their orgasms matter too, instead of coming off like that, it just comes off as a fucking idiot. It comes off looking bad. Okay, this movie is more misogynistic than anything else. And I know, like, how the hell? You know why? I'll tell you why. Because libtards are stupid. They are so stupid. They think that they're producing something that's going to help their cause, when in fact, they're actually hurting their cause. Okay, what has this movie taught me so far? It's taught me that this super powered feminist woman, okay, will get on all fucking fours and eat my fucking shit if I tell her to. Okay? You see what I mean? And there's nothing sexual about that. There's nothing sexual about that. That's pretty pathetic. Okay, maybe there's some people out there that get off on that, but that audience is so fucking minor, so marginalized. You're not gonna sell a lot of movie tickets catering to that audience, okay? And any guy who's into that kind of stuff, any woman that's into that kind of stuff, okay, barking around like a dog and stuff. I mean, I'm all about doggy style. I love that, but like, I'm talking about actually acting like a dog, like where you get on your knees and I'm gonna fucking feed you like I feed my fucking dog, okay? Anyone that's into that kind of stuff is probably not gonna expose themselves and go to a theater to watch something like this, to cheer on Nicole Kidman, okay? And any actress like Nicole Kidman, who's trying to do an erotic thriller at the age of 57, is a woman who's desperate for attention, okay? Who realizes that the wall hit her decades ago, and she doesn't want to, she wants to deny that fact. And because she's denying it, she's trying really hard to remain a leading woman, a leading love interest, that she will embarrass herself and not even realize that she's doing it. Now, how's that for female empowerment? How's that for strong feminist? A woman who's too fucking stupid to realize that she's not hot and young anymore. To me, that's the sad part. Okay, that's the baby girl here. That's the sad part. That's what they should have made this movie about. Okay, a woman who can't deal with the fact that she's no longer young and pretty. She just cannot attract those men. Okay, and if you really want to get people into the theater, why don't you write a story like that? A story about a woman who spent all of her 20s and 30s being selfish, relying on her looks to get her everything, and now she can't do that anymore. Now what has she got? Now the real her is exposed. And what's the real her? The real her is a woman so scared that she's not attractive anymore, so jealous of the young, pretty women that she used to be 20 years ago, okay, that she's willing to do horrible things to her face, okay, so she can feel better about herself. Not realizing that by doing that, because all the peer pressure she gets from the other 50-something-year-old women, okay, that also feel the same way she does, okay, the peer pressure, so she does it to her face as well. Now she looks like a monster. And yet no one has the heart to tell her that. No one has the heart to tell her, because that would hurt her feelings, as if what she's done hasn't done enough damage already. You see what I mean? That's what this is. In the movie, everything I just told you, the reason I told you all this, the reason I broke it down this way, is because the people that made this movie don't realize it. They don't realize what they've done. Okay, I might be wrong, but so far I don't think I am. Okay? There comes a time, look at Robert Redford recently passed away. Okay, and obviously he's a lot older than me. Okay, I was not around when at the height of his sexual powers, so to speak. I mean last night my son and I were watching an episode of The Twilight Zone. Yes, from like the 50s, the black and white one, the Rod Serling ones. Okay, and he was in an episode of that where he played a young cop who got shot, and there was an old lady in a rundown building. He was begging her to bring him inside because he's dying, he's bleeding to death. She brings him in, and she didn't want to because she was afraid that it was death that took the form of a human being to trick her, into dying so she can go to heaven with him, and that's why she's afraid. But eventually she got over it. She brought him in, and then she realized that it was death. So Robert Redford playing this cop really was death, pretending to be a wounded cop so that she would let him into her apartment, okay? And then she ends up dying, of course, and he takes her to heaven and all that kind of stuff. But I remember the very young Robert Redford, I could tell looking at that, okay? This guy was going to be a stud. Now, he was in his 20s when he did this episode, okay? And then later on, you saw him probably in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and all that stuff. And this guy had an incredible acting career. I mean, I saw this movie with him and Barbara Streisand called The Way We Were. And I'm going to have to review that movie eventually. If I can sit through 2 hours of Barbara Streisand, oh my God. But he was a stud back like in the 70s. He was in The Great Gatsby and stuff. Not the Leo DiCaprio version, like the one from the early 70s with Mia Farrow. Okay, I mean, he's done a lot of things. I mean, he did movies with Brad Pitt and stuff. He was, and even up to recently, like he was in The Avenger. He was in Captain America, The Winter Soldier. He was like one of the main characters in that. At his age, he was like in his 70s, and he starred in a Marvel movie, okay, as a bad guy. And then he also had a cameo in Avengers Endgame, and that was 6 years ago. So the guy was still working, okay? But even at his age, he knew he could not play a leading man. Nobody wants to see a guy in his 70s fall in love. Nobody wants to see a guy in his 60s falling in love with a woman. You see what I mean? Much less a woman who's like in her 30s or 20s. You see what I'm saying? Okay, he knew that his leading man roles were over. He had his shot. It's time for the young kids. There was a movie he did with Brad Pitt where he played an over-the-hill spy who is like a bureaucrat now, and he trains and mentors a young spy played by Brad Pitt, which is kind of a passing of the torch. Basically, I was the stud of the early 70s, and now it's the late 90s, early 2000s, and now I'm passing that mantle down to you. Because Brad Pitt was the stud of the late 90s and the early 2000s. Okay, some argue still today, okay, but definitely in the 90s and the 2000s, Brad Pitt was the Hollywood hunk. Okay, so to have the old guard and the new guard, is kind of a passing of the torch. That was the subtext of that entire movie. Okay, was here I was the stud from the past, but now I'm passing it down to you. Okay, so I get all that. All right. And, but even he knew it in 2004, whenever that movie came out. I don't remember when it was. It might have been 2005 or something like that, or 2002, something like that. Somewhere around there. You know the movie I'm talking about, Robert Redford and I think it was called Spy Games or something. It's Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. Okay, look it up. Okay, so, Robert Redford knew in 2005 that I'm too old to be playing like the stud. Okay, I'm too old to be playing that character. Okay, I'm the grandpa now. You get it? Okay, but Nicole Kidman has not learned that lesson. Okay, she still wants to be the hot woman. She still wants to be the bitch from Moulin Rouge. Okay, and she's not it. She still wants to be the bitch from To Die For. Okay, and that was in the 90s. That was 30 years ago. Okay, she still wants to be, and that's why she's doing this movie. She even has like the typical butt naked, butt under the moonlight walk. Okay, she even has that going on in this movie. Okay, she's too fucking old. I'm sorry, she has no ass. Okay, and she's too fucking old, and her face is all puffed out, and her hair is too fucking red. It's been bleached red, and her face is so fucking pale and bubbly because of all the Botox. I mean, and her lips are so fucking red with the lip injections and the lipstick. It's just like, this is duh. Like, come on, you're not gonna sell me on a fucking erotic thriller when you look like that. Okay, you're just not. Now, I know this movie wasn't meant for me, but I guarantee you, if you'd gotten a younger woman, like a woman in her 30s or something, who still had that youngness to her, you could have pulled this thing off. Okay? It's hard for me to imagine that a woman would be married to a same guy for 30 years and never have an orgasm with him. Okay? Especially not today. Not in the 2020s, not in the 2010s, not in the 2005s. Okay? Hell no. Okay? Hell no. This whole thing about I demand my orgasm is nothing new. This has been going on since the fucking 70s, okay? This is nothing new. This isn't something that just started happening like 10 years ago. Okay, no. Okay, it's been going on for a long fucking time now. All right, so that a woman like her would be okay with that? Being married to a guy that never got her off? This is ridiculous. And it sucks for Antonio Banderas too, because his career, okay, his Hollywood image is going to be based on the roles that he plays. How did you go from fucking Zorro, the Latin lover, to fucking Puss in Boots, the Latin lover in a cartoon cat form, to the fucking cuck. The husband that doesn't realize his wife is getting her jollies off with some young fucking stud. A stud that's eating food in his own fucking dinner table in his own fucking house. And not realize this. You see what I mean? This hurts him too. The next time he goes for a role in Hollywood, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you were the guy whose wife was fucking that young hot guy. And you had no clue. Yeah, I think I'll cast you as the fucking, as the guy, the 60-year-old guy who can't get a hard on, so his wife has no choice but to fuck some big dick Glenn Powell or some shit like that. You see what I mean? That's what you're getting. That's what you're fucking getting. And it's just like, what the fuck, man? How did the cucker go to the cucky? There was even a movie with Liam Neeson and Antonio Banderas where Liam Neeson, after his wife dies of cancer, he finds out that his wife, played by Laura Linney, has been fucking Antonio Banderas the whole time they were married, and he never knew about it. So he confronts this guy, only to find out this guy's a loser. You know, he might be a loser, but he was fucking your wife for 20 fucking years, and you didn't know about it. Okay, he was the guy that was, you know, doing the cucking, and now he's the cucky. What the fuck happened, man? You don't want to do that to your brand. Don't you? Antonio Banderas, that's your brand, is the Latin lover. That's your brand. Now you're the Latin cuck. Okay, you're no better than the fucking husband from fucking Desperate Housewives. Remember that fucking piece of shit show, Eva Longoria's husband, where she kept fucking like the gardener the whole time and her husband never knew about it? You know, get the fuck out of here. All right, anyway. But that's this movie, okay? That's this movie. It's pretty fucking pathetic, but I said I was going to review the whole thing, so I'm going to review the whole thing, all right? Okay, now I talked about in the last video, they gave us a montage of Never Tear Us Apart by INXS. I might have been wrong about the way, I don't remember the lead singer's name, but I might have been wrong about the way he died. If you remember my video, I did say he died from a drug overdose or something, which meant that I wasn't sure. He might have killed himself too. I don't know. For sure. I just remember I was a young kid at the time and I was listening to INXS. All the white kids in my school were listening to INXS. All the black kids were listening to Run DMC. Okay, so I mean, those were the days, okay? And I remember that the lead singer of INXS, I remember he idolized Jim Morrison, and he really wanted to play Jim Morrison in the Doors movie, the Oliver Stone film, but obviously Val Kilmer got the role instead. Okay, but I remember that. And I loved INXS. Their music was really good. So I've not heard this song, Never Tear Us Apart, in a long time until I saw this movie. So I'm like, okay, now I remember INXS. All right, so we get this montage, okay, with that song. Okay, now you remember in the last scene, what's her name? Romy just got her rocks off. Okay, not through vaginal penetration. Okay, not from, you know, sex. Okay, not from, you know, penis going in the vagina. Not from that, but from, you know, the finger, you know. This guy was double clicking her mouse here, okay? Samuel was just going to town, dude, like this, okay? Just going to town until she fucking came like the goddamn fucking avalanche here, all right? And apparently she never had an orgasm before. We find that out later on in the movie. This was her first orgasm, okay? So that's going on here. So now, of course, now she's addicted to Samuel. She can't be without him. She has to see him all the time, blow up his phone, hook up with him in the closets, because there's no cameras in the office building she works at. Okay, in the stairwell, in the men's room. Okay, we get this big montage of all this shit. Okay, she can't focus on work anymore. She's easily distracted during board meetings, so she can look out the glass walls and see what Samuel's doing and who Samuel's talking to and all that kind of shit. So the next day, they share an elevator together, but they don't have a chance to talk because all the other employees go into the same elevator. Now, man, remember this. She's the CEO of her own company. Okay, but she takes the same elevator that all of her employees take, including the interns. Okay, she rides the same elevator as all of them. Okay, do you think Elon Musk rides the same elevator as all of his interns at Tesla? Do you think that happens in real life? Hell no, it does not. It does not. Okay, but in this movie it does. Okay, she uses the same smoking area as her employees. She eats at the same cafeteria as her employees. I mean, she hangs out at the same bars that her employees hang out at. Oh my God. Okay, anyway, yeah. All right, so she shares the elevator with him, but she gets interrupted by Esme, her black secretary, okay, and the other interns, so she didn't get a chance to talk to him. She just smiles because they both have a secret that they've both been seeing each other now. Okay, later she calls him into her office like it's something important, like it's something business related, but it's not. She just brought him in there to fuck. Okay, so she fucks in her office, does not get caught by the other employees. We see this montage shows them hooking up at various times at work, while no one at work suspects that this is going on. She follows him into the men's room at one point while he's taking a piss, okay, just so she can drink his piss and then suck him off and then fuck him. She also spends nights sleeping with her whole family. Ooh, we also get in the montage, we also get to see her like in bed, like on a Sunday morning or something, in bed with her husband and her 2 daughters sharing the bed. They all fell asleep together in the bed, despite the fact that their daughters are like 17 and 12. Okay, yeah, nothing implied there. Okay, I thought it was pretty weird though. Okay, but she's still fucking Samuel at work. So she's the lovely, caring mom and wife when she's not at work. But when she is at work, she's the fucking, the horniest fucking cheating bitch who can't get enough of fucking Samuel's cock. All right, at work. Okay, she's fucking Samuel at work while they're standing up, like against the wall, wearing their clothes. And still doing it against the wall, man. That's those clothes get sweaty and dirty when you do that shit. You don't want to do that. Okay, it's just no, dude. You know, I mean, I've had quickies before at work, even. Okay, but you know, I mean, if I didn't feel comfortable taking my shit off, you know, then I wasn't gonna do it there. You see what I mean? Anyway, moving right along. All right, so that's going on here. Okay, he breaks coffee glass at one point and makes her pick it up. Okay, just throws a coffee saucer on the floor, a coffee cup on the floor, you know, porcelain one, and she just starts, he tells her, clean it up, pick it up, and she does. Okay, and then he fucks her doggy style against the wall, you know, just, yeah, like that. Oh, yeah, good times. Good times. Okay, you know, so that's going on here, okay, you know, and by the way, I like doggy style, just so you know, I love it, okay, but with clothes on, not the way I do it, okay, those clothes are gonna get soaked. Okay, those clothes are gonna get fucking soaked the way I do it. So wearing clothes while you're doing that, especially when you're at work. I mean, how are you gonna explain when you're walking across the office, okay, and your pressed shirt and you're soaked, okay, like someone just tossed fucking a bucket of water on you? How are you gonna explain that? Oh, I just happened to walk into a bucket of water by mistake, you know, or I was fucking for like, you know, 15, 20 minutes in the hallway. It was hot in there and I was fully clothed. So yeah, I got some sweat on me. No, you see what I mean? This is what I'm talking about, ridiculous, okay? Anyway, okay, it's just not practical, okay? You know, and he's wearing a fucking suit, man. He's wearing his entire suit while fucking her. This is just like wrong. Dude, at least take your tie off. Take your blazer off, man, something. Okay, that's going on here, okay? You know, they never ever actually have sex laying down. I noticed that. They never fuck laying down. They never fuck on the floor or on a bed, okay? They always fuck standing up against the wall, that kind of thing, all right? Romy and Jacob have a dinner later on and their lesbo daughter Isabel invited her girlfriend Mary. Now this is the first time we meet Mary, okay, but she was mentioned earlier in the movie. Okay, earlier in the movie, Romy, when she was at her country house, she looked out her window and she saw her daughter Isabel making out with a girl in the swimming pool. Now the girl was a neighbor, and the girl's name we find out is Ophelia. And Romy mentions this to her daughter. Hey, yesterday I saw you with Ophelia in the pool. I thought you had a girlfriend named Mary, okay? And I thought you were in love with Mary. And she says, I am in love with Mary, Mom, okay? I love Mary, but I like to fuck Ophelia, okay? And Romy's like, oh, okay. You know, which presumpted the idea of her having an affair with Samuel. That way she can still love her husband, Jacob, you know, and be the wife and all that kind of mom, but she'll fuck Samuel, okay? You see what I mean? So she's no, this is what I'm talking about when I say that she's a piece of shit mom. She's not even correcting her daughter. She's not even warning her daughter, hey, listen, you know, someone's gonna get hurt, okay? One of you three, you know, it's possible that someone in this threesome here is gonna get hurt. And that someone might be you if you're not careful, okay? So, you know, see what I mean? You know, that's what a good parent would do, okay? Because when you're a good parent, okay, you're trying to teach your children not to make the mistakes you're making, okay? You're not there to make the same mistakes that your own children are making. You see what I mean? All right. But of course, she has no moral compass. So it doesn't fucking matter. That's one of the reasons I don't like this movie, is I don't give two shits about Romy Mathis. She's not a likable person at all. She's a dumb fuck. She's a fucking bitch. Okay, you know, and she's just a failure at everything. Okay, and I'm gonna talk about money. I'm gonna talk about money in her tech company. You're not gonna convince me that a woman who invented her own robots that are so successful that she took her company public after like 5 years. Okay, a woman this intelligent is going to fuck up this bad in her personal life. Okay, you're not going to convince me of that at all. At all. No fucking way. Okay, she has not displayed any sort of fucking intelligence, any sort of fucking integrity. There's nothing about her that makes me say, oh my God, I'm worried about her. I'm afraid of what's going to happen to her. I hope this guy Samuel doesn't do a fucking number on her, because that would devastate her. You know, I don't give a shit. I hope she does get fucked over. I hope something bad, I hope a fucking house fucking drops on her and someone takes away her fucking ruby slippers. All right? That's what I hope fucking happens in this movie, because she's not a likable woman. She talks like she's a likable woman, but she's actually not. When you judge her by her actions instead of judging her by what she says, and that's another problem with women writing these, with man-hating lesbos writing movies like this, is they never put any room in the script for accountability. Okay? We know she's a great woman because she says she's a great woman, not because we actually watch her doing great things. You see what I mean? She never does anything good in this movie. Okay? We're just told that she's good. You see what I mean? All right. Anyway, so that's going on here. Okay. So anyway, Romy and Jacob have a dinner. Okay. And their lesbian daughter Isabel brings her girlfriend Mary there. Of course, Romy is not going to tell Mary, hey, by the way, my daughter's cheating on you. She ain't going to do that. Okay. Of course not. And Romy knows that, but Romy does know that her daughter is cheating on her. Okay. And later on, Romy and Jacob, for some reason, they put their bed sheet over themselves in the bed so they can talk underneath the bed sheet for some reason. I have no idea why. Earlier in the movie, we saw Romy put a bed sheet over her head when she asked her husband to rape her in bed, pretend that he's raping her, but he didn't want to do it. He didn't feel comfortable doing that. Okay? But now they're both under the cover, and they're both happy and excited because they love Mary. I guess this is the first time they met her, okay? They love the fact that their daughter Isabel and Mary are so happy and in love, and they think that Mary's a great influence on their daughter because their daughter's usually a stuck-up, narcissistic piece of shit like the mom is. But now she's acting all nice. She even helped out clean the dishes after dinner. You see? Dating Mary is actually a good thing for Isabel. Like, she's becoming a better person by dating her. It's lovely. Did you see how happy they were together? Oh, yes, sweetheart. They're so damn happy together. You know, watching them and so in love. Oh, my God. No wonder I'm not thinking about you fucking someone else behind my back, because I'm so focused on how happy my daughter is. See what I mean? Yeah, that's going on here. So they're all excited that their daughter's a lesbian. Okay, later on, Romy catches Isabel smoking. Another example of why I think why she's a piece of shit. Okay, but we'll get to that in the next video, okay? I got to call this one a little bit early, all right? Anyway, thank you very much for watching this long, and I'll be back to continue my review of this piece of shit. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon on the next one. Bye.